What's up, family barbecue, my boobas? It's your boy AimHigh, and I'm back with another podcast. And of course, I'm joined by an incredible guest, a dear friend of mine, who I just love very much, and she's been so successful. And she's our first woman on the show, which I'm super pumped about. I love talking to women. You guys know that. But she's awesome. She's killing it. She's doing a great job. Listen, she might be the best sports sideline reporter in the nation, okay? It is your girl, Bethany Bowman. What's up, girl? How you doing?
Hey, Jake. Pretty good. Not too much going on, but thanks for having me on. Really excited to do this. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm super pumped to do this. So listen, here's the thing. First of all, it is Sunday when we're recording this, and the Chiefs just locked in the number 1 seed, and you're from Kansas. I'm from Kansas, too. I don't claim them, though. But you're from Kansas. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. The Chiefs are number 1 seed. Now the Super Bowl travels through Kansas City in the AFC. Were you watching that game?
Of course. I don't miss a game.
You don't miss a game. Listen, that was insane. I saw like the last 30 seconds when the Falcons were driving and then they missed the field goal. That was at least what I watched. It was an intense game, but low scoring. Did the Chiefs struggle?
Yeah, the Chiefs offense, I will say, I don't think has looked very sharp this season. I think that their defense has really improved, which is last year our offense was so good that everybody's like, man, if the Chiefs could just have like a killer defense, they would be unstoppable. This year, their defense has gotten, I would say, at least a little bit better, maybe even significantly better, but the offense just hasn't quite been as on point as it was last season. I don't know why that is. I mean, they have pretty much everybody back, but I think that come playoff time, they'll be okay because they really are a crazy dynamic offense with a ton of weapons. So it's super fun to be a Chiefs fan. Like you said, I am from Kansas, so are you, but a lot of people from KC Mo say that the Kansas side of Kansas City and I'm not from Kansas City, but not too far from the Kansas side of Kansas City, can't claim the Chiefs, but I don't think the Chiefs would care. They'll take as many fans as they can get. And that's the closest team to where I'm from. And I have been a Chiefs fan since I was like a baby. I mean, I got a picture in a Chiefs uniform when I was.
Love that. I love that. What jersey? Do you remember?
Well, I think it was a cheerleading outfit.
Oh, okay.
I'll find that picture for you, but yeah.
You should. That's funny. My brother actually, he got a really cool. Do you remember? They called him the Nigerian Nightmare, Christian Okoye. My brother had his jersey when he was a little kid, and then I recently got him. I think last Christmas actually, I got him another jersey of Christian Okoye, and he has this picture framed up in his room. And I guess I wasn't born at the time, but my brother got this picture with Christian Okoye at the airport when my family was traveling. And it's a cool picture. So, anytime those memories was a kid when you're wearing jerseys and stuff and you just kind of latch onto that team, it's a good feeling. I don't know. The Chiefs they're always a weird team to me. I feel like for so long, the past 3 years have just really shit on their defense because I just thought their defense was just garbage. But you're right. This year, they've been really, really good. And I don't know why that is. I would probably, attribute it to Chris Jones, Frank Clark, Tyrann Mathieu. Those guys have been killing it. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited to see playoff time. I really want to see an AFC championship between the Chiefs and the Bills. I really want to see that. I like Josh Allen a lot, and I like that team a lot. But the Chiefs you just listen. As much as I hate to admit it, this man Patrick Mahomes, he might be the GOAT. He's just out here. He's got a clutch factor about him. So I don't know. And we saw that last year in particular in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl. You can't ever count them out. So it'll be interesting. But let's talk about sports for you, which is a little bit more local, and what you're doing, and the things that you're trying to kind of progress in this career. And you've seen a lot of strides when you started. I don't even know. You can kind of tell people this, but you started. Did you start wanting? Were you pursuing this in college right away? Or how did you kind of get into this? Because if I remember correctly, you kind of when me and you kind of became friends, you started really, getting into some internships, getting into some different things as far as Emporia State goes, and really pursuing this. And then you even got a job with the MIAA, right? And doing stuff for them. And then COVID happened, that kind of sucked. But can you just walk us through your journey into where you are now? Is that?
Yeah, I can do that. So I'm currently, let's see, about 7 years out of college, and it took me 5 to complete my degree. But so I've been out about 2. But looking back to my senior year of high school, I had no clue what I wanted to do. I was an athlete, and I didn't even know what sport I wanted to play. I played volleyball, basketball, and track. And April rolled around in my senior year, and most everyone that's going to play collegiately a sport has already signed and are at least committed. And I'm over here like, I don't even know which sport I'm going to play. So I don't want to say that made me kind of just have to like pick something, but I ended up picking a junior college. I really liked the coaching staff. It was Barton Community College in Great Bend, Kansas, so about 2.5, 3-hour drive away from my hometown. So it was, good to get away a little bit. Wasn't too far or anything. And also, a junior college, typically smaller enrollment, in some kind of smaller communities. And so that was good for me. I didn't really think that I would thrive and do well like at K-State or KU or even a bigger university, Ohio State, University of Arkansas, like places like that, because I just had some more learning to do about myself. I had more discovery to do about myself. And when I didn't even know myself yet, I couldn't really be a number, within 20 to 40,000 other kids. And so this junior college, like I knew everybody. I made so many friends. It was great. Played basketball and track there. Basketball, I was definitely a role player. I definitely, I want to pride myself on saying I was a really good teammate and I made my teammates better in practice and things like that. But I was not a star by any stretch of the imagination. I got some loose balls and rebounds, things like that.
Hell yeah. You hustle player.
Yes.
We love that.
In track, things went a little bit better. I had a little bit more success. I was really fortunate to be an All-American during my time there. And so degree-wise, I just took basic classes. I took my gen eds, and I ended up getting like an associate's degree in, I think, science. I think I'd taken like enough science classes that it was tailored to a degree in science. And so junior year comes around, I come back to Emporia, where I'm from, because we have a university, a Division II. I'm on the track team there, so I'm still trying to decide what I want to do. I took some more like health promotion classes. That was kind of the major I declared. And I'm like sitting there in my classes, and I'm like, I think I'm taking these because I'm like an athlete, but I don't really truly live, to be honest, like a healthy lifestyle. Like I would eat Taco Bell before I went to practice, and like I'm not suggesting this. I think that like eating well and taking care of your body is so important to be an athlete, but I truly can't say that I live that, because I've always kind of been able to just eat what I want. Would I maybe have been a little bit better, had some more success if I would have eaten better, done those things? Probably, but I just didn't ever really see a huge drop off by doing it. And so I just continued to kind of eat what I want and do all that. So I'm sitting there in class, and I'm like, I'm learning about all this stuff, and what am I going to do with it? Am I going to be a personal trainer? Am I going to own my own gym? Am I going to preach to other people to go eat this, and this when I'm eating Taco Bell and McDonald's? Like, I just can't see it, and I'm not really passionate about it, but I still didn't know what I want to do. It's like, it was
surprised you didn't mention Sonic right there.
I know. Yeah. Sonic, that's a big one too. And we'll talk about more of this later.
Yeah.
But it was, I started to look around me, and all the pieces were there, and I just couldn't really put it together. I couldn't finish the puzzle, but it was, the pieces were, I love people, and I love meeting people and making relationships and making new contacts. And then the other side of it is I love sports, not just competing myself, but watching sports, going to sporting events, being around the atmosphere and the camaraderie and the excitement of sporting events. Like, I don't truly like to go to sporting events and be in the stands. It's fun sometimes, but anytime I just go and watch for leisure, I'm like, man, I want to be down there. Like, I want to be working. I want to be down like in it.
Yeah.
And so one day I see this video of a girl I'll go ahead and give her a shout out. Her name's Allison Gappa, and she worked for Oklahoma State Athletics and like Fox Sports Midwest, I believe, because they covered a lot of like Oklahoma State athletics and stuff. And
sure.
She had, partnerships with all that and did a bunch of that stuff. She was like a sideline reporter and host, and she was doing like an interview with the Oklahoma State kicker Matt Amendola. I'll give him a shout out as well because he played with our good friend Jarrell Morrow at Oklahoma State. So that's why I'm kind of watching their athletics videos. Matt Amendola's a great kicker, so he's walking the field at Boone Pickens Stadium with Allison Gappa, and she's just asking him questions and getting to know him and stuff. And I saw that, and I was like, I want to be her.
Yeah,
like that's my dream job right there. That would be so cool. But the problem was, I go to a Division II school, and Emporia State, as great as I could, as great as it was, as many great things as I could say about it, didn't have a large team of broadcasting / creative media / all that kind of thing. It's just not really feasible at the Division II level. There are some schools that have it, but not a lot. And I was like, well, do I transfer? Do I real quick try and, like, I'm already a senior by this point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do I try and go to, like, University of Arkansas or KU? I mean, they've got a great program somewhere. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I've got teammates here. I've got great friends here. I'm kind of stuck. But I go to our SID, our sports information director. Another shout out, Don Weiss, because he's been instrumental and huge in my, pathway in this journey. But I'm like, what can I do? Can maybe you record me, like, with your iPhone?
Yeah.
Talking to athletes. And so this video that I saw at Oklahoma State, they've got huge camera crews and like thousands of dollars worth of equipment. Like, I saw a behind the scenes photo, and it's like big time.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing it big. And so I'm like, Don, maybe you could just record me on your iPhone. And he's like, yeah, I mean, we can try it, like, I'm always looking to promote the university. That's his job, is to make Emporia State look good. And he does a great job at that. And so he let me kind of be on camera and be like the face of, interviewing our athletes and stuff. And when I started out, it was not good. There are still videos on YouTube of my like first ones. And I wish so badly that they could be taken down because I can't even go watch them without cringing. But
I love it.
I do like them staying up because it shows the growth. Now,
shows
when
your
I
progression.
watch videos that I've done recently, I'm like, still not where I want to be, but look at how far I've come. And so, just kind of, we got the ball rolling with that, and took it and ran with it. At our football games, I would try and record plays on my phone and tweet them out so people could see them. And sometimes those would, get a bunch of likes and retweets. And that was just such a good feeling to be like, oh, I can help capture some of these moments, and people that can't be here at the game can see it.
Yeah.
And like I said, this was just all kind of new because we are a smaller school, and it just wasn't really a thing that had been able to be done. And so, fortunately, enough of my videos got out there. I got a few other opportunities. One was with Sharp Performance. Jake Sharp, former KU running back, now runs a training facility, Sharp Performance, and he was putting on a combine. He saw some videos of mine and said, I want you to come down and interview these kids that compete and perform at our combine. And that was huge. That got me connected with Chet Coupland, who is the owner of Sports in Kansas. I am currently working for him. And but I don't want to leave out also the MIAA. That's who I most recently and have formerly worked for. They had seen some videos as well. I'd done a few things with them, kind of on a. They would come down to campus. They tried to kind of expand their network and would have different correspondents on different campuses. So hey, we're gonna come to Emporia. We want to talk to the university president. Well, we'll have Bethany do it. And so I did a few things like that for them, and one day I got this call from Commissioner Mike Racy, and he said, we want you to, if you're interested, be like the host of our MIAA network show. You'll travel to all of the, I think at the time, 14 campuses and interview coaches, athletes, administration, presidents, all that kind of thing, and put it together in a show every week.
Yeah.
And you'll also be at our championship events. So cross-country championships, men and women's basketball, various football games, and just kind of get content out there, interview, the quarterback through the game-winning pass or, things like that. And that was like the most awesome 2 years. I loved it. So great. And although for me and for everyone at the MIAA it was kind of known it was a way to kind of progress my career. It ended too soon. It did because of COVID. So devastating this past March for all of our spring sport athletes to lose their seasons. And unfortunately, when that happened, my gig was kind of over as well, because with no sports, there's no one to interview, there's no games to go to. And so we kind of had to part ways. But everything kind of happens for a reason. And sports in Kansas has been great, because during this whole time of, a lot of people say no sports, there's still a ton of sports content
for sure,
and stories to find and to get out there. And so I've been able to virtually interview a ton of coaches and athletes in the state of Kansas, also some former anybody with Kansas ties. So we've got, some NFL players, some WNBA players.
I saw my boy Michael Bishop.
Yes, Michael, but that was a very cool interview. Michael Bishop is a great person. I got to meet him shortly after doing the virtual interview at a K-State game, and his story is incredible, and he's an even better person. So just things like that, opportunities I didn't think I'd have, and people that I didn't think I'd ever be able to talk to have come through sports, and I couldn't be more thankful. I will say that at times it feels like the progress is so small. Like, the steps I'm taking are not even baby steps. Like, they're like, I don't even know what's smaller than a baby step.
Dude, I don't know.
No steps. What is it?
No steps, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like you're standing still, or even taking steps backwards, because, there's times it's like that. But I think that the fact that, in the blink of an eye, things can change so quickly. You look at it in sports in general, one quarterback goes down, and then this, say right now with COVID, the backup, is on the COVID list. Well, then all of a sudden you've got third string guys playing, and they're coming in and throwing for, 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Just stories like that. They never expected that to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of the same in my profession, and really any profession. You have to take your opportunity when it comes. You have to be ready for it.
Yeah.
But you just got to roll with it. And so the idea of an opportunity coming my way at any moment, that's what keeps me motivated and staying ready. And even though days go by and it's like nothing's happening, that kind of thing definitely lights a spark in me. So, one day I think that opportunity is going to come, and I would be foolish to not be ready for it. So
for sure. And I think too, it's interesting because, what you described there is really what I feel like this entire podcast so far, and all the episodes with all the individuals who come on here express. I mean, whether it's, from Agent 00, who's got over 1 million followers on YouTube, he still thinks that sometimes he's, sludging in sand, or, like he's not moving the way that he wants to move. Or even Jarrell with his art, where it's like, man, something's just not clicking. But it's crazy how much progress in those moments that you're actually making. You know what I mean? That you're actually, like, you don't really think about, that matter. And so, absolutely, I 100% agree with you that, you just got to also another streamer, he's kind of a dumb way to put it, but I loved it. I don't know why it's so wholesome. He's like, dude, if you don't put your name in the hat, how do you expect your name to get drawn? You know what I mean? Like, there's no way it's not getting drawn unless you put it in there, and you got to put it in the hat every single day. And so that, it seems like to me, that's what you're doing. You're putting your name in the hat every single day and hoping that you get drawn. And from my point of view, you should be drawn, because you've made incredible strides. And just really just not only in your content, but it's very clear to me that, and this is the reason why I really wanted to have you on, is because, listen, I know passion when I see it. You know what I mean? Like, I know when someone has a passion about something that they love and something that they care about. And when you're describing, oh man, I want to be down there, and I love the atmosphere of sports, and And what do I do well? Well, I'm a people person, and it's like all of that is so true. So it's like I feel like this is the perfect gig for you. This is the perfect field and industry for you, because you do love sports and you do love people and you do love those stories. And I think you're going to be very good at covering those stories. So that's awesome. I love that story and I love that journey, and I hope that it continues to progress. Because really that's the only place that I see it going for you is up. But I do want to talk about a little bit your day to day. With this stuff now, it's so different with COVID. You know, I mean, I feel like when I knew you before COVID, it's like you were just a bat out of hell. You know, you're going to Pittsburgh, you're going to back to Emporia, you're going to Lawrence, you're going to Wichita, you're going everywhere in Kansas, even sometimes to Missouri because of the MIAA. Like, you're just traveling all the time, right? And most sports reporters, I feel like, would say that. I think I saw an interview with Erin Andrews, and she was talking about how, like, sometimes she feels like she's just on the road for like 9 months straight, you know, and she's just freaking going out there. And then when the Super Bowl ends, it's like she gets a break finally, like a month of break or something. And it's like with you, that same thing is happening with you. You know, you're having to travel to these schools. You even talked about how the MIAA gave you these opportunities to go to these campuses. And now it's like shut down, right? So it's like you're kind of doing more like these type of interviews, you know what I mean? Like where it's over Zoom, or, you know, you got to find a way to make it happen. What's your day to day been like? And how's that changed since before?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot to unwrap here. Great question though. So yeah, before, like I said, I believe it was 14 campuses, and we had at some point gotten to all of them I think we got to all of them in a year, but for sure
Holy.
we got to all of them. And that might not seem like a lot, but 14 different cities.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
4 different states, while also trying to manage schedules between everybody, coaches and the athletes, and get everybody while you're there. It was really hectic, and now has been a complete 180. I don't really know if it's better or worse. I would say that there are things that I miss seeing all the beautiful campuses, seeing all the new cities that I haven't been to, and experiencing everything that each one has to offer. And now everything's over the computer. So I miss the personal interaction. I miss all of that. But it is nice to have that extra time that you're not spending on the road, to just do things, because there are a ton of other things to do behind the scenes that, I'll talk about here in a second. But, also you just being in the comfort of your own home, like that's kind of nice as well. I don't mind staying in hotels, but like you mentioned, Erin Andrews, I think when they're doing, obviously I don't have experience working in NFL season, but it seems like they are on the road all the time. They've got production meetings. They're staying in, hotels, and then they're flying home, and a few days later they're back, ready for their next game. And so It's truly a grind. I think that all goes back to the passion thing where, I said I want to be down there in the action, and that is not, I would say a little bit at first. It was kind of like, oh, I want to be seen. I want to be on camera.
Yeah.
I want to, but it truly is. I think I've stuck with it long enough now that I've kind of proven myself that it's not truly about that. It is because I have a passion for it. And if you don't have that passion for it, it's not gonna be for you, for the long haul, because that progress seems like it's so small, but you've got to love it. You've got to grind it. And so now I would say that my day-to-day is, I also have a part-time job, because again, this isn't all glamorous as it may seem. And I before would maybe not want to say that. I would want people to think that I'm kind of big time, and you see me on the internet and all this stuff, and that's my life, and my life's fun and easy, and I get to just talk sports all day. That's not it at all. And I have no problem admitting that, because right now, if I want to get to where I want to be, it's going to be a grind. It's not going to pay great. I'm very thankful for the job I have, but it's just not, you're not going to make, big bucks like people think famous people do or whatever. And so, I have another part-time job to help, make sure I can pay everything I need to. And So right now, like I'll get up on a Monday morning and schedule interviews. First of all, I will kind of talk with my boss and we'll talk about who we want to interview this week. I'll get all their contact information. I'll reach out to them. I'll set up the interview because everybody's got crazy schedules themselves. Most coaches at the high school level, even the college level sometimes, are teaching courses. And so we got to make sure we get around their schedule. Athletes obviously have practice. A lot of them got school.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, all of them have school unless it's a pro athlete. So got to work around that. But hopefully by Monday, I've set out and we've got it scheduled. And that's not to say it won't change throughout the week. You know, I've got, sometimes it's me, sometimes it's the athlete saying, hey, I really need to move this. But we'll get a pretty good base of when we're going to do it. And then I'll that night start just diving into some research and some prep. And that's kind of when I talked about behind the scenes things that aren't so fun. I truly, it's not bad for me. I do, since I enjoy what I do, I like to learn. Now in college, when I was doing homework and things for classes that I didn't really have a passion for.
Isn't that crazy? That like somebody's like total motivation in something that like they could really not give a shit about, and then something they're passionate about, their brain just like explodes and they're like, oh yeah, like, you know, they're like so into it, and it's like, well, where was this with math? And it's like, screw math. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how our brain does that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so, you know, when even in elementary school when teachers are telling kids like, you know, or telling their parents like they're just not motivated, they're, you know, I don't see a sense of urgency in them. It's like, well, maybe they just don't really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there isn't times you have to do things you don't want to do, because that's life. You have to do that all the time.
For sure.
But I think it's a little unfair to assume sometimes, you know, kids aren't that bright, or they're just not getting it, or they're not that motivated when
They
maybe
probably just don't love it.
They don't really love it, you know, because I've seen that happen. Like I truly didn't really like my college courses because, again, they weren't really tailored to what I wanted to do. I loved my professors. I have nothing bad to say, but I just sometimes I wasn't the most school person. But now, you know, researching and finding out, well, oh, hey, this coach that I'm going to interview tomorrow, he actually played for this coach who was in the Hall of Fame in 1984. You know, it's just like there's always something new to learn, and that is fascinating to me. So I don't really mind that part, but there is a ton of prep that goes into these interviews, and that's something I want people to know, is that behind every 20-minute interview is probably 2 hours of constructing questions and, you know, trying to make sure you know everything, because you don't want to look stupid on camera, you know, and messed up tons of times. And, you know, sometimes the coach or the athlete will be like, oh, hey, actually, and they'll correct me, and, you know, super glad they do. But you want that to happen as little as possible, so you try and know your stuff. And yeah, I mean, I think the best compliment that I've ever gotten and that I like to get is like, oh, you've done your homework, or wow, you know, you really looked into this, because it, you know, it just, I think it just shows your work ethic. So I like that a lot. You know, even more than you're good at talking, or your delivery's good, or even like your hair looks good. You know, just anything like that. It's always the best one is that you did your work. So there's that. But yeah, so then, you know, hopefully by Tuesday morning we're starting in on interviews. So, you know, I'll do them anytime between Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Got to have them done by 11 a.m. though, because that's when I go into my part-time job. I work at a country club, actually, so get to drive the golf cart around a little bit.
Hell yeah.
Bartend as well, so pretty good job I've got on the side. But yeah, and during that time while I'm at my second job as well, luckily I am able to kind of edit interviews. So as long as I get them recorded here at the apartment and, you know, look good and everything, I can go and kind of put my hair up and work on it and get it polished to post. And
which I want to say before you continue, I want to say, and people who are in the creative scene who watch this will understand, and I think actually be blown away. But you edit these videos yourself, which you know, regardless of how professional or whatever you edit them, regardless of that, that's like very impressive. Like, and I want you to know that, like, that's actually very impressive, because a lot of people in this industry, just in content creation in general, You know, there's a lot of, oh, this guy's really good at he's a personality or she's a personality. But they have no idea what the fuck they're doing when it comes to like Premiere Pro or editing or, you know, even iMovie or whatever they're using to edit. Final Cut, it doesn't matter. They just have no idea, right? No idea about technology or how to do that. And so there's a lot of people, they're paying people to do that. But it's like you're sitting here working, you know, for this company and you're having to edit these videos yourself while I do the prep time, while I do the interviews, while, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a lot, to be honest with you. So I just want to say before you continue, I'm very impressed that you do editing as well.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. You know, like you said, it's one of those things that not a lot of people realize sometimes. And a lot of personalities and jobs are multi-hat wearing jobs. And especially starting out, you've got to do that to even get the job because, you know, you're looking at trying to get a job and say you bring to the table, well, I can talk to people. I can interview people. You know, I'm good at that. And then you've got somebody else who is good at that as well, but then their resume says, well, I can edit too. And I can also shoot highlights and I can go to a game and I can capture the game winning play and I can put it out and I can do all this. It's never a bad thing to have more skills. Absolutely. It just makes you more marketable. And so that's why I'm super thankful that I didn't sometimes, you know, go to a larger university where a place where I would have like an entire team of people. Well, you know, I don't have to shoot the highlights. I'll just grab them from our videographer. Or I don't have to edit it. I'll just have our post edit guy do it. No, I've kind of had to do all that, and as much as sometimes it sucks, I'm not gonna lie.
It sucks,
you know, you're tired. You get home from a game, and you're just like, I want somebody else to be able to do this because on NFL Network, that's what's happening. You know, Erin Andrews, her video of her interviewing somebody is getting sent right up to the, you know, because it pretty much goes on right away, so it's just getting sent up. They're not really editing that, I guess, but even like feature stories, things like that. She's not doing any of that.
Nope.
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous of women that don't have to do it right now. But I think everybody should, in this industry, especially right now, do it for a while at least and have that skill to some degree because it's only going to help you.
For sure.
So I tried to look at it in a positive light, even though sometimes I'm sitting in my bed at 2 a.m. and I'm doing it. It's been something that's made me more grateful for someday, maybe when I don't have to do it, and also that, you know, it can maybe help me in the future get a job. So.
Yeah, and I think too, it's like you said, it's one of those things where it's never like no employer of mine has ever been like, oh, you could do this too, dude, we're not looking for that. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never had that happen. So it definitely is one of those things where the more that you kind of grow in this journey and add on skills, the better you're just going to be as a whole package, which is interesting. I was thinking about that today as I was like cooking some food. I was just like, it's crazy how somebody's journey, like there's so many things in my life that I've done that I feel like I never would have done. And how like those certain moments made me better for like what I'm doing now. You know what I mean? And that I never, like, at the time, maybe I was like, oh, like, this is leading to this, right? This certain goal. But it was never like, I got to do this to be a good streamer or to be a good content creator or to be entertaining. Like, it was just I was doing that certain goal, whatever it is, you know, throw in the blank, to do that. You know what I mean? But then, you know, whatever reason, you kind of get in this path and in this journey and then you find something that you love. And it's like, oh, like, I totally learned how to do this back then, and I can like somehow figure out a way to apply it to this moment, whatever it is that you're chasing. So anytime like that, anytime you're on this journey and you're growing and you're wanting to soak up as much as you can now, because it is one of those things where, hey, who knows what you're doing in a year, Bethany? You could be on Fox Midwest or whatever, or even a higher local news station doing sports. And you know, I don't know, maybe the editing guy's like, I don't know, he gets sick or something. I don't know, you know, and you're like, oh, I got this. Like, you know, like I can do it for a week. And you don't even know how dope that would be to a job, an employer, how good that would look on you to be able to be like, I can step in and I can do this because it shows that you're flexible, you know what you're doing, and you really can do it all. So yeah, that's awesome. I was thinking too, is there like, as a sports reporter, I feel like the main thing that gets looked at is the interview process, right? Like, that's obviously the main thing that people see. And that's the main, I feel like, goal for you is like, oh, like, I want to get into interviews. Mm-hmm. Is there anyone in particular, like, if you were like, someone came in, a genie, was just like, yo, I'm going to give you one dream guest. What's the dream guest that Bethany Bowman wants to interview? Like, you know what? We could just expand it to, like, when I say dead or alive, I mean, like, retired or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could go any sports person ever who ever played. Who's the dream guest?
Man, is it okay if I have a few?
Yeah, absolutely. Lay them on me.
Okay. And to be completely honest, this one came up more recently because I think we all thought that he was going to have more time, and unfortunately he didn't. But now that things have happened how they have, I would have loved to talk to Kobe Bryant.
For sure.
I had always been a fan of his. I actually wore 24 in college because of Kobe. But I hadn't looked too far into some of the stories that I know now. And to hear about some of the things that his teammates have said about him and how he was in his demeanor. Borderline sometimes, maybe a little bit aggressive, but all Kobe wanted to do was win.
Win, man.
He wasn't going to take no for an answer. Failure wasn't an option for him. And I think just to have had some time to talk to him, one-on-one and get more out of that, about that, could have been so beneficial for so many people, because he truly had the mindset of a winner. He was a winner. And, he left an incredible legacy. So that would definitely be somebody I would want to have talked to. I posted this the other day on my story. I had another interview with a coach, and it wasn't even about me, but he flipped the question on me, and it was, who's your sports hero? And I'm honestly still kind of thinking about that one, because I feel like I could maybe have a few others, but on the spot I came up with Tom Brady, because Tom Brady wasn't athletically a freak by any means.
Whoa, now, hey, Tom is sneaky athletic now. Okay, I'm kidding.
So again, like I said, this is a repeat. Some people might have seen this on my story if you follow me on social media, because I posted this. But 6 rings, and it is just so cool. Type in on YouTube Tom Brady running the 40 at the combine.
What are you talking about? He looks like a gazelle. He's so majestic, Bethany.
He looks like somebody's dad.
Yo!
And like the short. I mean, I know it was like 20 years. What year is it? 2020. That was like, what was that? 99 draft or 99?
Yeah, I think he got drafted in 99 or 2000.
Yeah, I think so. And he was the 199th draft pick, and so 198 people were taken before him, and he's often considered like the biggest steal of that draft, which obviously, like,
sure.
6 rings. And here's the thing I will say, though, is that Tom Brady has always had an incredible defense. I can't remember the stat, but it's something along the lines of like Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and either Brett Favre or somebody. Their top 10 defenses that they've had combined are like less than the number of top 10 defenses that Tom Brady has had during his career. Yeah. So he's had a lot of help, and I will admit that. But it doesn't take away from the fact that he's found a way to win 6 Super Bowls, and he's done it looking like that. And when I say looking like that, I'm talking about looking like how he ran at the combine. So that's a sports hero.
Hey, I think, too, give him credit. He had a massive you look at I think there's something going around, almost like a GIF going around, where it shows his progression from that, like, first picture that he took to now. And just his physical fitness in general has just improved so much. And I think that's because there's a big link between him and Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan and LeBron James, of all these guys who are at the top of their game and at the top of their level. in the top of their industry, spending the money that it requires to get whoever is needed on your team to tell you what to do, but being committed to those regimens, because I know for a fact that I promise you he's not always loving what he's putting in his body, or he's not always loving getting up early and working out, but he's committed to it. And you can tell because he's won so much, and that's what it takes to win is commitment. Yeah, that's a good hero. I feel like to go back to, do you have any more? Do you have any more before I?
My last one, and this is again just somebody that I would love to interview, and it would be Derek Jeter.
Oof.
Derek, and so I guess I'm picking one from every
sport,
every big three sport, basketball, football,
yeah.
baseball. But Derek Jeter, I've always loved, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I could talk 10 minutes about Derek.
I feel like you are, and we've even talked about this. You're very in love with baseball, and I just don't really fuck with baseball a lot, to be honest with you. But some of the players, man, like Derek Jeter. I think my favorite player growing up was you may have heard of him, a guy named Chipper Jones for the Atlanta Braves.
Wait. Can we just pause this real quick?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, hold on.
Little does she know, we're gonna continue recording, and we're just hanging out. She's gonna go probably get some crazy memorabilia right now. We just have an empty seat across from me. People on YouTube are seeing it. And I feel alone. But, she's back. We're back. No shots! Huh? How long have you had that?
So I got this a couple years ago.
For the listeners right now who aren't watching on YouTube, she just came back with a Chipper Jones Atlanta Braves baseball jersey.
Yeah, so I was going to an Atlanta game. Fun fact, one of my things I'm doing outside of work in sports, just for leisure, but it's going to every MLB park.
Yes.
That got put on hold because of COVID. Didn't do any this year, but...
We still got to go to the one in Seattle together. I know I don't live in Seattle, but I want to go to the one in Seattle with you.
Yeah, I want to go to that one too. That was a good one. But my most recent one was SunTrust. It's the new park in Atlanta. And I was like, I'm not going to a Braves game without a Chipper Jones jersey because he's my favorite Braves player.
That's awesome.
And former Braves player. And so, yeah, I got this. And when you brought him up, I just couldn't not show everybody. So
I love that. No, yeah, he was my favorite baseball player growing up. I didn't really pay attention to baseball because I didn't play a lot. Mm-hmm. And I just, to be honest, I just thought it was boring. But I also wasn't around a lot of people. I think, probably my closest friend that I had that played baseball was Josh McGuire. And me and him just didn't really talk about baseball a lot. We always talked about football and then music and stuff like that. So I just never really developed that love, and I didn't play as a kid. But as a kid, when nothing was on and I was in front of the TV, I would turn on, TBS, I think. And the Braves were always playing on TBS because, Turner was located in Atlanta, so they would always have him on. And yeah, Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, Greg Maddux, I think, was playing for the Braves back then. It was just an insane lineup when they went to the World Series, and of course lost to the Yankees a couple times. But it's just one of those things where the way that Chipper Jones played the game of baseball was inspiring to me. Even though I didn't really understand what was going on a lot, I didn't really I was just this is kind of boring. Anytime he stepped up to the plate, anytime he was in the outfield doing his thing I think he was a third baseman, he's just, I don't know, just brought so much life to the game for me watching it. And I really admired him a lot. With Tom Brady, man, I feel like I got a lot of heat because before he won these last 2 Super Bowls, I was saying that he was the greatest of all time. And then he won his 5th, and then he won his 6th. And for me, it's I don't even care if he wins another playoff game again. He's the greatest quarterback that there is. Maybe even the greatest football player ever that there is. When it comes to accomplishments and just winning. And then, and I do agree because I know the statistics about his defense, but I would argue too that, for a long time when he was winning those first 4 Super Bowls, he never really had help on offense. I think a lot of people, think that like, I don't know, that he had like these crazy I think his best receiver in the 3 Super Bowls that he won, his first 3 Super Bowls, was Deion Branch. And he did like Gronk and all those guys, Randy Moss, they all came later. And him and Randy Moss didn't even win a Super Bowl together. So it's one of those things where it's like, man, he was beating, and again, credit to, you talk about his defense with Teddy Bruschi, they had Mike Vrabel, even Junior Seau was on that team, a bunch of guys up front, and in the back, I remember Ty Law was one of my favorite corners. That dude was an absolute shutdown corner. But they were playing against Peyton Manning, who had Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark, Brandon Stokely, Edgerrin James. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. The weapons that Manning had, where Brady didn't really have those weapons, and they had to score points, and he put up the right amount of points every single time to win or get his kicker, the legendary, the man with an absolute cannon of a leg, Adam Vinatieri, to win those Super Bowls. But man, I don't know. I just have a lot of respect for that man. Because it felt like to me, he did a lot with what he had, He just did a lot with what he was given. And then, oh my gosh, you talk about Kobe. You already know, me and Jarrell, we used to play basketball together in our driveways, and that's who we would emulate. We wanted to be Kobe. We wanted to be Kobe, Paul Pierce, the Lakers, the Celtics. And then as you get older and you start to like actually dive, like you said, you actually start to learn and hear about these stories about Kobe. It's crazy to me that someone like that exists. And what I mean by that is like that man had so much determination and so much will that like it's kind of the same thing with Michael Jordan. And of course he gets compared to Michael Jordan a lot, but it's like those guys, it felt like Kobe would just will baskets in. Like when he would shoot, you go like, that should never go in, and it just did. And you find out later when you grow up, it's like, oh, like his footwork, the way that he shot the same every single time, the way that he was spinning, the way that he was manipulating the defense, of course it was going to go in. Of course he was going to win because he put the work in. So all 3 of those guests, I love that from you. And I love Kobe. I miss Kobe. And I hope that Tom Brady doesn't win another playoff game, because it's looking like the Seahawks are going to have to play the Buccaneers in the playoffs, and I'm a Seahawks fan, so
you saw what the Bucs did to the Lions yesterday.
That's the Lions, Bethany. Come on, their coach is about to get fired. Their defense is garbage. I feel bad for Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford's a great guy, great quarterback. I think a lot of times underrated because he was on the Lions, and maybe even I would even say maybe one of the best deep ball throwers in the league. And man, he never gets a break, man. He never gets a team around him. And then it's like when he does like kind of do well, like they were like, I don't know, they were like 4-3 or 5-2. They were like winning, I think last year, and he gets hurt. You know what I mean? It's like guy never gets a break. So you mentioned the Lions. I'm like, just immediately my head goes to Matt Stafford. I feel bad for him. But what is your, you did name all 3 sports there. What do you have a favorite sport, or are you just like, yeah, screw it, I just love all sports? Like, but what do you have one?
I would definitely say those 3 would be like what I would prefer to work in. Ideally wouldn't like be working in hockey, or even like, what are some other sports, man? Like
there's a ton of sports that they need sideline reporters in. I feel like
like soccer, like I wouldn't turn down opportunities at all. Like if there's any soccer or hockey teams out there that want to hire me, like I will stay up for 5 days straight and learn the ins and outs of everything. But I would say I have the most knowledge about those 3, and that's just because I've grown up around those 3 the most. My dad was a collegiate football player, also a basketball
pretty
player.
Good one, wasn't he? Wasn't he a pretty good one?
I mean, I wasn't there, but I've heard he was okay. So.
Oh, okay. He's all right. All right.
I also played basketball in college for a little bit, and then he kind of realized it's too hard to do both, so stuck with football. But my brother played sports growing up. He's named after George Brett.
Your brother's a beast. I love your brother.
Yep, he's cool. So there's that, and then like I said, I played basketball in college, and so I would say basketball I probably know the most as far as like seeing the floor and like set plays and things like that. Football is a little bit tougher because I didn't actually play, and so seeing reads and formations is a little bit tougher. But and then baseball is, it's a simple game, but also potentially one of the hardest to play.
For sure.
Baseball players get a lot of grief about, it doesn't take much to be a baseball player, but I mean, not only the athleticism, because it does take athleticism, but like the hand-eye coordination and the timing and all that kind of thing make it a very tough sport to play. But watching from the outside in, it's a little bit easier to, I would say, there's not really plays and things like that. So
yeah.
Anyways, those three. But coming out of high school, I don't think I went to a single one of my high school's baseball games. And I'm sorry, Jackson.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
That actually shocks me.
I know. I never went and watched. I didn't really care. I thought it was boring.
Yeah, it is. Good. Yeah, talk bad about it. I love it.
Yeah. So I got my JUCO, like I mentioned. We did not have a football team, and a lot of JUCOs do, but a lot of JUCOs don't.
Yeah.
So we were one that didn't have a football team, and so I kind of fell in love with baseball because that's what we went and did. We had, they played a lot of fall baseball and spring baseball. So me and a couple other girls that I was pretty good friends with out there, we'd just spend all of our time out at the baseball field, watching our friends who are on the team and stuff. And that's kind of when I really fell in love with baseball. But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think I can really pick. They're also different. It's very nice change of pace. I'd say football's pretty chaotic, and basketball at times, and then baseball, you can go out on a nice day and you might not have any action for 5 or 6 innings, which makes it kind of chill to watch. But when something big does happen, it makes it even that much better. A home run or
I'll say like it's cool for me live. Like that's why I'm like, yo, if you want to go to a baseball stadium, name it, I'll go with you. You know what I'm saying? Like I just think like the hot dogs, the beers, the hanging out with people, because it is a game that, like, I'm not saying you don't have to pay attention, but you can leisurely watch it and still like when like a hit happens, when like a play happens, you know what I mean? So it's like it's not like, oh, I got to pay attention to this 24/7. You can chat, have fun with your friends. It's very social. I think one of my favorite experiences was being at I don't even know what they call it anymore, because I think it might be T-Mobile Park or something. I don't know. They changed the name of Safeco Field. But there's like a I don't even know what they would call it, Bethany. But it's like a no seat, like it's standing bar area in the, like right outside, right on the edge of the outfield, right? And people just get there and they just get smashed and like hang out and eat and fucking hang and it's just chill. My favorite thing is I went into that, and first time being in something like that, and we're like right on the field, like we can look at the players, and we're all like drinking and stuff. And I look over at my friend who, he was like a college baseball player. His name's Spencer, really good friend of mine. And we're hanging out, and I'm thinking to myself, because I don't know a lot about baseball, I'm like, yo, one of these guys could crack a ball and this thing could come and hit us. And I'm looking at Spencer. I'm like, dude, what do we do if we do that? And he looks at me and he goes, you just catch it, man. And I go, what? I go, this ball, you're a baseball player. That may sound simple to you, but to me, if a ball is coming at me at 100 miles an hour and I'm looking and it's in the air, I don't know what I would do. Like I would freak out, and it would be everybody for themselves, and I'd push people out of the way. I'd be like, get out of here, it's coming. But no, that was one of my favorite days, being down there, hanging out with everybody, seeing the field. It's a great experience. I just cannot watch it on TV. I just can't. I don't know why.
That's
I
fair.
just can't. But it is. It's a fun sport to be around. Is there any in particular favorite memories so far in this journey, like that you can just point out that you're like, oh man, like that, even if maybe, here's might be a better question. What's something that you can look on right now? Because I've been thinking a lot about this, and just because, like you said in the beginning of the podcast, and maybe it all comes full circle, but you're talking about these type of baby steps, and these steps, and you're growing, and all these things, and I'm kind of in that same boat. I tend to sometimes get in my mental feels, and I go, oh man, like, nah, this is dumb. You shouldn't do this. You should go get a normal job. You should go, I don't know, give up or whatever, right? And I have to like kind of take certain things and certain memories and really go, okay, that right there is something that I need to hold on to. You know what I mean? To kind of like push myself. Is there a specific memory that you hold on to that you go, man, this kind of keeps me going?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jake. There's a few, and they're not big, but this kind of takes me back to this summer. I was able to interview Kevin Kugler, and if you guys don't know who that is, he is right now on NFL Network or like NFL Sunday. He's partnered with sideline reporter Laura Oakman, who runs this wonderful sisterhood, and it's for women in sports called Galvanize, and it's connected me with a lot of other women in sports. It's great, and
That's sick.
This great opportunity for us to be paired up with like other people in the industry, and a lot of people were big name people. I was so excited to get Kevin Kugler. Some other ones, notable ones, like Trey Wingo.
You interviewed Trey Wingo?
I didn't personally, but someone else got him.
Oh, like you got the Kevin guy and somebody got Trey Wingo.
Kevin guy, yeah, Kevin Kugler. Come on,
Kevin Kugler. His name sounded really hard, and I didn't want to mess it up, so I just said Kevin.
No, that's okay. But Kevin Harlan was one. And,
whoa.
yeah, some like really cool people, but I was really excited. I was really excited to get Kevin. He's done a lot of work on Big Ten Network, on Westwood One. Now he's on NFL Sunday Voices and commentates and broadcasts NFL games. And I had kind of asked him this question as well, like what was kind of like, a big moment for you? And he gave me an answer that he's like, it's not going to really sound big to you. And I was like, that's okay, because sometimes those moments aren't really like as extravagant as you would expect the answer to be. But, for me, you kind of mentioned, what keeps me going, and I just want to get another job. Actually, pretty recently, and during COVID at that, I was offered a job, not in sports, and it paid a really good amount of money. And I may have made the mistake of telling my parents about it.
Oh no.
I even had really thought about what I want to do. And, I think your parents just always want, they see a good opportunity.
Yep.
And they're like, don't mess this up. Don't, turn this down. Like, don't let this pass you by. And so, I basically had just told the job offer that that's not the path I want to go down, and that's not my dream. And I don't think that I can take this job and then get stuck in it, because I think once you do start making money, it's hard to walk away from.
For sure.
I haven't really made a lot of money yet, so I don't really know, but I could foresee that happening. I think that once you make a good amount of money, a significant amount of money at least, and you're kind of not watching what you spend and things like that would get very comfortable, and you would not be able to go back to an older way of living that you may have done. And so I was just like, the money sounds great, but that's not my passion. And I turned it down. And my brother had kind of basically told me that was okay. He's like, you've been doing this for a while, but not very long in the grand scheme of things. I need you to give it a little bit more time, because there's still a lot of great things that can happen in the sports industry, even if you feel like it's not progressing as fast as you want it to be. So, but back to your question, memories or something, moments that have kept me doing it. I would say one for sure was when Commissioner Mike Gracie at the MIAA gave me that phone call offering me that job. That was really the first time anybody besides my own university had like seen my work and been like, oh, okay, this is good enough to where we are going to offer you the opportunity to do this for a little bit of money, and and for people to see and things like that. And I remember like being on that phone call with him, and I was like just pacing through my house, like I was like going down the stairs and coming up and like just talking about it, because I was so excited. But I didn't want to sound like overly excited on the phone, because I wanted to kind of be like, yeah, I need to act like I've been here before, like I don't like, I just gave an opportunity to somebody who never thought they would get it. Like, I was like, I think I'd be interested. And I'm over here, like, just walking through my house. So that was definitely one.
I love that. It's awesome.
Other ones, Oh, I've had some parents because, a lot of the work I've done has been for like collegiate athletes and some high school athletes and stuff. And when parents say things like, one that sticks out was we had a wide receiver at Emporia State. His parents were so nice and so overly grateful for me just doing my job. And, everybody likes to be thanked and appreciated. So, that's always a thing. But I mean, they were like, we would never have these memories and these videos of his collegiate career without you. And we're just so overly thankful. And that is awesome to feel like you were able to contribute that. Another one was, someone's grandpa that after an interview I did with his grandson said, we're never able to get him to open up like that. He's normally so shy, but it was great to see him, giving
That's
answers
awesome.
and talking about himself with you. Like, that was awesome to us. Just things like that.
Yeah.
They may seem small, but to me, they're like so important and just makes me, I'll go to bed that night and be like, okay, I can get up and do this for another day because that was like so worth it to me. So nothing really huge has happened yet. I can't say like, oh, I worked an NFL game or anything like that, but little wins, I guess I would say.
But I think though those are important though, because in the journey, I mean, like, it's one of those things where I think our like individual perspective is so important, because what everybody else sees isn't what's directly actually happening. You know what I mean? Like, so that energy, those vibes, whatever you want to call it, that is exchanged between those parents and the grandparents to you, is whatever you make it. And if it's big and if it means a lot to you, then it does. You know what I mean? And I don't think like it's like a thing where it's like, it may not be as big. It's like, no, like those are big. Like those are big, huge moments. You know what I mean? Like, and it's one of those things where I want to get back to what you were saying before that, and even affirm you in the choice to continue doing this. And just like your brother, is it's like you never know what is going to happen, because I'm telling you right now, from my experience, and with what I've been doing, I haven't, like your brother said, like me and you both have not been doing what we're doing for very long in the grand scheme of things. I think I've just hit over a little bit over 2 years in streaming and stuff like that. 1 year in like actual like, I'm like kind of like really like working for it, doing daily streams and all these different things. And it's like those things, to not box yourself in, to say, okay, like, I think too, it's kind of a disadvantage for us because we grew up in this time where like things are so instant. You know what I mean? Like we live in such an instant time. Like I can literally, like, first of all, like literally I could get on the internet and like all music and movies are free. Like that's just the craziest thing ever. Like you could literally access anything that you want on the internet. I can look at my phone. Me and you right now are like 900 miles apart and we're talking to each other. You know what I mean? Like everything is instant. And so sometimes we forget to slow down and go like, listen, like you hear about these people who make it and you say, man, like, listen, Aaron Andrews probably had been doing that for a very long time. You know what I mean? Probably had been doing it for multiple years. Agent 00, the guy who I was talking about had 1 million subs, he did YouTube for 7 years before he saw any money. Any money. 7 years devoted his life to doing it, and now he's living large, doing his thing. Mm-hmm. And so I would just say to you, like, for me, it's like, I have been in that situation, that same situation where I worked at, not a lot of people know this, but Bethany's going to know what this is. We worked at a nuclear power plant called Wolf Creek, and I did security. And when I started there, I was making $70K a year, which, guys, in Kansas is a lot of money. My apartment that was really nice above this Jimmy John's studio apartment, it was like $650 a month, guys, $650 a month. And I was making $70,000, okay? And with the next year would have made 80, and then a chance to the next year make 90. Like it would have just continued to grow. And I'm telling you though, that may have been the most unhappiest year of my life. Like I was so, like, literally all the things that I looked forward to was getting to the weekend, was specifically Thursday, so that I could go spend my money on alcohol and not think about my job that I had to go to in the morning. Like, you know what I mean? Like that was what I was thinking about, because I was just so unhappy in those things. And you mentioned your parents. It's like, yeah, my dad worked at Wolf Creek for like 40 years and just retired there recently. And he was like, yo, you know what? Like, I want you to do this. I want you to have great opportunities, to make money, to be financially secure. But one day he just set me down. And he said, Jake, if you're not happy and you want to chase your dreams, then you should do that. Then you know, like if you need the permission from me as a dad to tell you that I'm not going to be disappointed in you if you quit this job, then that's what I'm going to tell you. And he told me that, and I quit my job, and I moved out to Seattle, and I went to film school, and I'm doing what I'm doing now. And I'm telling you, it's like if I had never quit that job, I never would have been in an AMP video that's reached over 500,000 views. I never would have been doing my stream that I make money off of. I never would have been doing any of these things. I would have been at Wolf Creek doing my own thing and sitting there going, what if? And it's like, no, like your brother's absolutely right. You got tons of time. And it doesn't matter if that opportunity was big or small and making money. Listen, because I know you and I know the type of person you are, those opportunities are going to be there, regardless. This opportunity that you have right now is not always going to be there. And that's what we talked about at the beginning is like, putting your name in the hat. You got to put the day that you wake up and you go, I'm not going to put my name in the hat. Man, that could have been the day that you could have had it. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's one of those things. It's like, I just think that's really cool of your brother to kind of say, hey, like, listen, you got a ton of time. And two, I want to transition to this because I think I wanted, we got to probably wrap it up here in about 20 minutes. But I wanted to say this. I want to talk to you about it because I'm in an industry right now that is growing at a rapid pace. And I want to get your thoughts on this because sports in general, especially with what's happened this year, right? I mean, we didn't even, for the longest time for that, what was it? I don't know. I want to say like maybe April and May, like when things really kind of started to heat up with the virus. I mean, and we saw the shutdown of the NBA and we saw a bunch of things happen. That might have been in March, but regardless, like those like things right there that happened, we didn't really know what was going to happen. I mean, I think it started with, March Madness. Wasn't March Madness the first that they were like, yo, we're not going to do this anymore?
Yeah, so I actually, just real quick,
I
worked at a sports bar during March Madness that during the Big 12 tournaments. The Big 12 tournament would have been directly right before like NCAA, and all that kind of thing. Well, we were expecting to be like insanely busy. Like I was expecting to make enough money that week to like pay off a bunch of stuff. And I think it was, I know that one game got played because I actually was off that night, got to go to it with our friend JL. We went and watched Oklahoma State play Iowa State. But then that very next day, they shut everything down. And I mean, they told us at the sports bar, like, go home. I mean, we're not going to need staff. Like, they're shut, they basically said no one go downtown, like all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was right in the middle of, the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah. And that moment and then leading into the summer months, people really didn't know what was going on and they didn't really know what to think. And my point here that I'm getting to is during that time, we saw a massive rise in esports, which is the gaming side of things. And because gaming is not in person, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it can be. There's a ton of LAN events and things like that are happening. But it was kind of the first, like, you saw a massive uptick in Twitch. You didn't really see that with YouTube, but you saw a massive uptick in just watching streamers, watching gamers, watching tournaments, watching these things happen, at least in my industry. And it felt like a lot of people, a lot of investors poured into it. We saw this organization, 100 Thieves, really pop off, which has investors from, I don't know if you know who Scooter Braun is, but he's a manager for Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber. Drake put in a lot of money to that organization as well. And then that they were just now recently able to purchase a team in the Call of Duty League. And so my point is you have a ton of these games. You may not know them, but some of the viewers might, is Call of Duty, League of Legends, Counter-Strike, and Valorant, who are, they're really getting, their production level is going up because they're seeing investments, they're seeing rise in revenue, so they're starting to hire, commentators, they're starting to hire the products needed to switch between different scenes and do all these cool overlays and stuff like this. And even sometimes they want sideline reporters and stuff like that to go and interview these players. Is there any chance that you could see yourself switching over to something like that, to where if somebody called and was like, hey, We've seen your interviews. We know that you do sports, but we need somebody, to come in and do these gaming thing and kind of interview these people. Is that something you would ever consider? Because I'm telling you right now, the I'm not trying to throw any shade whatsoever, but the girls that I've seen that they've got for these esports, these reporters and these people interviewing, they might be the cringiest people I've ever seen on the planet. Like, I feel like they have no idea how to interview someone. I don't know if they have experience or if they were just kind of like an intern or what. It's very weird. And they kind of even get trolled a little bit online for it. So I'm wondering if there's ever going to be an opportunity with the rise and not fall of sports, but the rise of esports in particular, where they start going, man, maybe we reach out to some of these lower level sports reporters who have actual footage of interviewing people and they're good, to try to up our production level. Is that ever something that you would consider, or are you just, I want to hit it with just real sports?
Okay, I've got a couple different parts to this answer. One big thing, in starting out is, and I've gotten this advice from a ton of different successful people in sports, is that never say no, and take every opportunity you can. And that's even if you're running cables at a game, you're not doing anything that seems of importance that, it might seem a little below you, but basically say yes to everything. And I felt like I did that. I continue to do that daily. I try, and whether there's no compensation or nothing in it for me, I try and always say yes, help people out, do things that, might pay off and pay dividends in the future. So I can't really say, sitting here without the opportunity in front of me, what I would say. But to be completely honest, I don't believe I would really want to do that, that I would want to go down that path. I would just really prefer the real sports, and not to say esports are not real sports. There's definitely skill required and all that kind of thing. I just don't see them in the same category. I truly don't. Actually, so my JUCO that I've mentioned a lot during this podcast, they just got esports either this past year or the one before. I'm not sure exactly when it was implemented, but they have been going to the national level and doing a bunch of cool things, and I love to see that. But I would not consider it really an NCAA sanctioned sport. Just my personal opinion.
Sure.
And that's really no shade. I just think that there's a difference. So I would prefer to stay in, like I said, basketball, baseball, football would be my preference. The other thing I wanted to say is that with the girls getting trolled on, some of that stuff, whether they, have, what am I trying to say here? I don't know. It's
I think you're trying to say that and I would say this to the people trolling, is that it's harder than it looks. There's a lot of things that go into that, and there's a lot of things that I think my biggest thing is when I see it, I don't really make fun of I think the way that they that they kind of mess up or whatever, but I my biggest thing is it's cringe, because you can tell that I think my biggest thing is they don't have any experience in what they're doing. It felt like they were kind of plucked out of an internship role of maybe they were there to be a production assistant or whatever, and someone was like, hey, you're pretty and you can talk well, can you please do this for us? And of course they're going to say yes, because they want to help out and they want to further their career, and there's no shade about that. You should absolutely, like you said, you should never say no to an opportunity. My thing it makes sense from a business perspective to say, man, these people like you have done it, and it's on film and it looks good and you're getting better, and it's why don't we maybe see if some of these girls would be interested in that opportunity? I think regardless, it's the internet, and I promise you on Twitch, you could do it and do the best job, and you're going to get trolled. You know what I mean? Because it's that's just, that's the internet. That's the world we live in, unfortunately.
I was going to kind of go there too, is that Aaron Andrews gets
absolutely, for sure.
It's just that's one of the scariest parts to me, and I've experienced it. Obviously, not the national level, but get DMs from some lady in a town of 500 people that out in Kansas, because I work for sports in Kansas, and she didn't like what I wore, or she doesn't think I do a very good job, and it's kind of that's fine, I'm not gonna say it's not hurtful. Anytime somebody comes at you in a negative
it's very hurtful.
it's not going to feel good, but like you have to learn to let it go. But no, it just, with the esports, that's kind of what I was going to say is that, it happens to, real sportscasters. It happens to people that don't even have experience. And so, I hope those girls keep going for it because, esports is getting bigger and they're going to need people like that to do those things. I think that as it gets bigger, they probably will target more people with more experience. But for me, I don't really think that you'll ever see me doing it, but never say never.
Never say.
5 years down the road, maybe I'm commentating esports. We'll see.
I like that answer. Never say never. Is there anything in the immediate as we wrap this up? I just want to talk too about future. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of things happening in the sports world that we're seeing for the first time, and I don't know where a lot of this is going to go. I don't know what's going to happen. I know the vaccine has come out, so maybe, things will in a year or so, or maybe even half a year. I don't know, I don't really know the timeline of anything like that, but it seems as if we are trending in a direction of maybe normalcy at some point. Maybe that's me kind of I just want to believe that. But there's a fly. Sorry. Got it. But it's one of those things where it's like you really don't know what's going to happen. And for you in particular, you talk about this job that you have with the Kansas company and doing these interviews and you love it. But is there anything that you're looking at that you say this is something that's achievable maybe this next year? What's your 2021 goals?
2021 goals. I have this conversation a lot with different people that I've worked for in the past, and one especially is Don Weist. I mentioned him earlier. He was my SID at Emporia State, and he has helped me tremendously in my career. I trust him. He knows a ton about working in sports and athletics, so I go to him for everything. But and something you kind of mentioned earlier was, maybe you are gonna move up to be like a local news station and things like that. And I'll tell you what, local newscasters, sportscasters, they are some of the hardest working people out there because, again, they are still having to do a lot of those multi-type jobs, editing, production, anchoring. They're going to a game and leaving at halftime so they can get back to the station and have their highlights ready. And not that I don't think that I could put my nose down and work and do all that. I just really love the team aspect of sports. And that being said, my dream job is to work for a conference. So like when I worked for the AimHigh, that was awesome because although it was 14 different schools, it was all a conference that you communicate regularly with some of the same people with and kind of cover the same teams and get to know a lot about the personnel and the players and that kind of thing. Even more specific and even on a smaller scale is working for like a team. So, when I started out in Emporia State, their football team was a big one that I spent a ton of time with their staff, knew all the players, knew their strengths, weaknesses, like their stats up and down. And I think that is so much more fun and personal to me than working a game and then not really diving into their season anymore because I'm on to another team. I kind of like staying around the same people and all that. So that being said, I'm always kind of looking for a job with a specific pro team or a college team.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't know enough because I don't really I don't know. I don't go a lot to like pro teams websites and stuff like that. Is that something that they're doing? Is the NFL or MLS or these pro teams, when you go to their site and because obviously they release their own media, do they have that? Do they have hosts and stuff of their own? Like I've never really seen that before. I know that the conferences do, or maybe the NFL has their stuff, but individual teams they're having these interviews and people are doing these interviews and
I think you're seeing it more and more. Again, like one of my very first inspirations was Allison Gappas. She did it for Oklahoma State Athletics, and that's why I thought it was so cool.
Was she a student or no?
No.
Oh.
It was to my knowledge, a full-time job for her. But
Wow.
yeah, no, I mean, there's like, I know like the Chargers have a team, like a team reporter, like a team host and reporter.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm not saying every pro team has it, but
I feel like they should though.
Yeah, I think
Like
they should too.
just in my mind before you continue, it just I feel like immediately in my brain it just which is why I asked you, it just went off. I was like, oh my gosh, like you can actually not only just from like a narrative standpoint, you can kind of control the narrative a little bit better, but also from a business standpoint, like you get to kind of promote what you want to promote and put out what you want to put out. And from business standpoints for teams, like that's even like, you know, that goes into like jersey sales, the way that you market and like that. I don't know, that's like deeper into those type of things, but there's a lot of money involved, even with just the media that you push out and the narrative that you push out and who gets more sales and all these different things. And so, yeah, I think having somebody that is the face of your media organization, being able to control a narrative like that, I don't know why every pro team hasn't done that. And I don't, that's why I'm honestly, you've maybe put me in shock here, because I'm kind of like, wow, that's like something that I didn't even think about that you could do. And I think you could do that very well. And I didn't, it's even more shocking that the Oklahoma State people would hire someone to do that and not just use like a student. And that's, I think that could be a big opportunity as well, because how many, over 120 NCAA Division I teams for football? And that's a lot. And then there's even more that compete at the basketball level. So, I mean, that's huge opportunities for you there.
Yeah, no, and some schools do use students. One that I want to give a shout out to is so we've actually never met. We're
pen pals.
We're pen pals. We're social media people. I don't know if she watch this. I'll tell her to come watch it. But she's a student, but she to me is as good as anybody they could hire full time. And her name's Montana Lambden. She does it for Grand Canyon University athletics, and she is awesome. So some schools, opt for that, and I think she's still working towards her degree, and she does an awesome job. But some people hire full-time people, and so that's my ideal job. Right now with COVID, a lot of things have been set back. A lot of super talented people have lost their jobs, and that has been one of the sad parts about COVID.
Yeah.
But it's even it kind of ups the ante, because you're like, oh my gosh, these people from ESPN got laid off, like 500
or something. It was insane.
Due to no circumstances of their own, just what's going on in the world. And it's like, and I want to work for an ESPN or a Fox Sports or a major network or a pro team. It's like, but those people out there are looking for a job. Like, that just made it so much harder. And
sure.
I can't wait till sports get back to normal, because there's so many talented people that deserve a job in this industry. And right now, unfortunately, there's just not enough positions financially for it. And so this COVID thing needs to end. And
yes.
It's been not tough just for people in sports. I mean, look how many people have lost their loved ones. Like, that is heartbreaking. Sure. So I just can't wait till we're past it. And but yeah, no, I wouldn't say I have any true goals for 2021. I hate saying that, but right now, in a world of so much uncertainty,
it's kind of hard to nail something down.
Day by day is kind of, I think, what we all have to do. So I'm just looking to keep advancing, I guess. And I don't want to not say during this interview that my family has been so supportive. I couldn't do without them. I said earlier, when talking about another job I was offered, my parents were kind of like, you're not going to take that. But that's not what they're like at all. They want me to chase my dreams. Just like you said, your dad is like, you got to do what makes you happy. And my parents have been so supportive. Couldn't do this if I didn't have a family like I do. So yeah, man, it's been so weird being on the other side of the interview process. I also feel like I've rambled so much, so I'm sorry, everyone.
No, listen, that's what the podcast is, is it's not even like this whole thing is like, at least to me, like very conversational. You know what I mean? Like I'm not even on here really to interview people in like a really true interview format, because it just, to me, like, this is a time for my audience to get to know me, but also my audience to get to know people that I find really interesting. And and I find you very interesting, and I find all the guests that I've had on here very interesting. And so it's one of those things where, the more that you get people in front of other people, right? And the more that people are able to see, different aspects of just life and just this industry, because, overall, I think everyone that I'm going to have on here is probably in some way, shape, or form, a part of an entertainment industry. I think we have like a couple people coming up where I think we have like a realtor coming on to talk about real estate. I mean, that's like maybe like a one-off thing for the podcast. Everyone was probably going to be a streamer, a gamer, a television personality, whatever, right? And so, it's good to like see different perspectives of these people who come in and they go, oh man, like this is different for me and this is different for me. But also, you are someone who's not even remotely in the gaming industry, but you're experiencing a lot of the same things that I'm experiencing, or that iPod King Carter's experiencing, or, Agent's experiencing. And there's a bunch of different things that it's cool to see that, like, in this time of 2020, in this time that has just been like kind of hectic and kind of dumb, where people have been isolated and it sucks. It's like, dude, like, we're not alone. You know what I mean? We're all kind of going through similar things, and we're all kind of having like these issues, and it's like, oh man, we're not going where we want to go. But it's like, man, 2020 hasn't really allowed us to go where we want to go, and that's okay. Life happens, it's just, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, like we said at the beginning of the interview, you just got to keep stepping forward. And even if you don't think that you're making any progress, and you're on you're on a freaking what do they call it, a treadmill, and you just feel like you're walking in place, and it's like, you got to keep going, because I promise you, you're gonna see those fruits bear. And so, Bethany, it's been an incredible time to have you on this podcast. It's been an incredible time to learn about you and the things that you do with sports and your passion for sports, and also your day-to-days and all these things that we've learned about you today. It's been really cool. I'm sure it was kind of weird to be on the other end of it, but I do appreciate you doing this for me. You're a good friend. I love you very much, and I can't wait to see you succeed in life, because I know that you are, and you already are, but I know that there's bigger things to come for you. So please, listen, guys, if you haven't, you got to go check out what she's doing on YouTube. Check out the Twitter, check out the Instagram, everything. Bethany, whatever you want to shout out right now, give a shout out. Where can they find you? What are you doing with your life? And then, you know what? I want you to give them one phrase or one word. Leave the podcast listeners with something.
Okay, well, Twitter, Instagram, is that all? Yeah, I guess LinkedIn. I don't know, but that's kind of like today's,
It is. No, it is. Especially for 2020, LinkedIn is actually blown up low key.
Yeah, but anyway, so Twitter and Instagram is BJ Bowman 13. Bethany Joe Bowman is my full name. So that's where that sparked from. And then, oh gosh, a phrase to end with. Whew. Okay, I got one. So I want to make sure I say it right. I don't want to mess it up, but of those that much is given, much is expected.
I like that.
Yeah. Do I need to elaborate on that?
No, we're out of here.
This is just music, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, you can edit this out.
Maybe.